let me first off, Jack, I'm glad that you're able to tell us about some of your intel, and I want to get into that for a little bit here.
Yeah.
Also, I've had a few complaints. If there's any way to turn your volume up, unfortunately, I don't have. I have a volume level for myself, which is I'm a loud ex-New Yorker, so I know how to. I can out yell anybody probably in the room, but as far as your voice goes, it's just if there's any way to clear that up. But a lot of people have. Oh, go ahead, Jack. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't have a way to turn up my volume, only to speak a little louder. So I'll speak a little louder. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, a lot of people are asking then, so that you feel personally that something will happen within the next few months?
Well, I have a good buddy who was in the military during Vietnam like I was, and he's Greg Everson,
right,
the Kansas state police officer who has military contacts too, and they told him that within 45 days to 60 days, we're going to be under the Soviet-style totalitarian military rule system in America. So that means they have to blow us up before that and scare the American people into accepting that. And so it's going to come down pretty quick if he's correct, and my information's correct from my military intel people too. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of interesting too. I actually interviewed Greg last month on that very subject. That was a fantastic interview, and since then, I have gotten either secondhand emails and a couple direct emails from sheriffs and some police chiefs that had been long standing in their positions that have just suddenly resigned here in the last couple of weeks. And there's a bunch of them. It's not just a few. So that might be another indicator, unless you know of some other reason why that might be going on.
No, I think they don't want to be a part of this Soviet totalitarian system and dragging Americans out and killing them if they're patriots and if they're Christians. And so I think some of the police and soldiers know about this already. And so we see a lot of them resigning today, you know. And that's not the best idea. The best idea is to stand and not do it and say, I'm not going to do it, you know. But I guess they don't want to get shot down if they don't comply with the communist system we have coming over us today through phony President Abomination, who is a communist himself, and he's hired Communist Eric Holder as his Attorney General. And
don't forget Cass Sunstein.
Oh, yeah. He's appointed 32 communist Zionist czars over America, so they don't have to go through the Congress and the Senate for approval on anything. Yeah, Cass Sunstein is definitely a communist Zionist. Yeah.
You know, I've investigated a whole bunch of the. I went out basically when I first started doing interviews and stuff to check out the FEMA camps and the detention.
You mean internment camps?
Yeah, people called them FEMA camps, and I actually didn't find any FEMA camps. But what I did find, and I filmed some of them, was that all of these internment camps are on military installations. So I don't understand how more soldiers don't know or aren't talking about what's going on with these things, and that they're actually there and things like that, because I have a pretty good figure of around a third of the military is not going to go along with what's going on. I think they could halt it if they would just come out and say it now.
Yes. Well, I think you're right. We hear from a lot of military and a lot of law enforcement officers that know what's coming down, and they're not going to be a part of it. But that's why they're bringing home the 170,000 mass-murdering mercenaries from Iraq and Afghanistan to kill police officers and soldiers that say no to putting the people under military rule and oath keepers that say they're not going to go collect the guns and they're not going to put people in concentration camps. They have a list of 12,000 now that they know of on the Oath Keepers list that they can get by kicking the door in on Oath Keepers and taking that list and sending that 170,000 mass murdering mercenaries that we've been paying $100,000 a month to since the Iraqi war started. And these guys are very, very evil. They've dressed up like Sunnis and gone and blown up the Shiites, and then dressed up as Shiites and blown up the Sunnis to cause the racial war they've got going on in Iraq right now. And they have got the racial war going by dressing up as Sunnis and Shiites and blowing up the opposing party. And so they're coming back here now to run our counties in America. And so the county sheriffs better get ready, because these mass murdering mercenaries are coming into the counties to take over the sheriff's position, and the sheriffs have to build up their posses, their sheriff's posses, very quickly, so that they have, instead of like my county here, Idaho County, Idaho, we have like 17 deputies, and that's not nearly enough to protect the sheriff and the county from the foreign troops that are coming in. So I've told my sheriff that I helped set up a 2,000 man and woman posse for Sheriff Joe Arpaio there in Maricopa County, Arizona, and he's using it very effectively today. But I've asked our sheriff here to please set up a citizens posse of girls and guys who will stand with him when the foreign troops come in here in the county and try to assassinate the Christians and the patriots here in our county. And so far he hasn't done it, but he says he's building up the search and rescue team as his posse, and he is building his search and rescue team. And so, but I'd like to see him have about 1,000 sheriff's posse members to protect our county here. We have 17, or let's see, we got 17,000 people in this very large county in Idaho County, Idaho, and 17 sheriff's deputies are not going to be able to protect us. So we're getting ready to protect ourselves and our homes and our county here. Many of us are getting ready for that.
Now let me ask a question here, Mr. McLamb, if I may, because one of your videos where you're speaking, and I forget where you were speaking exactly, but you were discussing the list, of course, the yellow, the blue, and the pink list, and the yellow, and everything else.
Right.
And I noticed some blue spray paint under my mailbox. Should I be worried?
Well, yeah, you should, because the only thing, if you'd seen yellow underneath there, it would mean that you're not going to be picked up and put in a camp. Or if you had a red spot there, then they pull you out in the yard and shoot you in the head, like I'm under the red. But blue, they take you out to the concentration camps and put you in there for re-education. And yellow, they leave you alone because you've proven that you're not going to stand up against the Antichrist New World Order and the government. And so if you had a yellow, it would be much better. But I would go out, brother, and paint that blue mark to yellow.
Yes, I guess you're right.
Yeah, the foreign troops come down the road. They don't know how to read English, and so they just look for the red and blue marker on the mailbox and or on anything else around there, and then come in.
So the yellow and blue won't make green, will it?
Well, I would just put enough yellow on there so that you can't see the blue.
Okay.
And that'll throw them off. They'll leave you alone. But That's what's going on with the mailboxes. They're starting to mark them with red and blue and yellow. And if it's yellow, they're going to leave you alone because you've proven you'll make a good slave, you know?
Oh.
And speaking of the different lists, and especially the part about how you were trying to get posses for the sheriffs, I know most people don't know, but the sheriff is actually like the most powerful